Sony has dumped well over $1 billion into modern audience live service slop, and it doesn't look like it's turning out well for them because these projects are either releasing and then being shut down weeks later, or they're in development hell. And now another key Fairgames developer quietly leaves Haven Studios, and it looks like this game is going to be canceled. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, over the past couple of weeks, we've all kind of assumed that Fairgames was in development hell. It probably was never going to release, but the more time that passes, the more likely that becomes. There's just nothing positive going on with this game that we can see at this point in time, and now it's getting even worse because Fairgames was the talk of the town a few weeks back when it was rumored that Haven Studios had canceled the upcoming live service shooter. This claim was retracted within a matter of hours, and as far as we know, Fairgames continues to be developed and backed by PlayStation. Now, I don't know if this is just me being a little bit of a conspiracy theorist with my tinfoil hat on, but I have a feeling that this wasn't actually a lie, that the analyst who reported this had a lot of information, but Sony was like, you need to retract your claim because we haven't officially canceled it yet. And because he's an analyst and he wants to stay in good with these companies, he did so because there is so much evidence pointing to the fact that it's canceled, but maybe that's not the case. However, prospective fans of the game have used their eagle-eyed powers to learn that yet another high-ranking departure has occurred at Haven. So not only did Jade Raymond, one of the studio's founders, abandon the team back in May, but now the game's director has also split. So it was discovered by a Reddit user that Daniel, the former game director at Haven Studios, has left the company to take up a role at Warner Brothers Games Montreal. He's now a creative director at the studio, most recently known for Gotham Knights and assisting on Suicide Squad, which isn't the best track record, that's for sure. Now, we're talking about a Canadian studio, so we're probably talking about them being activists through and through, right? Sweet Babying did actually help with both of these titles, not particularly shocking there, and it seems that they are going to start on another game relatively soon if they're not already in pre-production. Either way, though, when you're going to a studio with that bad of a track record, and you yourself were most recently working on a game that seemingly is in development hell, maybe not fully canceled, but also probably on its way out, yeah, I'm not feeling very confident about the future of even this project that he wants to go work on. It says that he was with Haven Studios as the game director from March 2021 to August 2025, so 4.5 years, and now he is the creative director at Warner Brothers Games Montreal, permanent full-time, and even this, doesn't sound particularly good, given WB Games Montreal's last failures. Who knows if their next game will even launch or if that will go into development hell. I know that, both KTJL and Gotham Knights had development problems themselves. So we're just talking about people who are not particularly good at their jobs being bounced around from company to company, studio to studio, and they're making failure after failure. And I want to sit here, right, and say that maybe this will come out and maybe it'll be good, but we can tell that Fairgames is more live service slop. Sony has put billions of dollars into these types of games at this point, and none of them have been successful. Of course, their biggest failure was Concord. By the way, we're around that 1-year anniversary. That was out for not even 2 weeks, and they shut it down because nobody was purchasing it, nobody was playing it, and it was a mockery in the video game industry. It's one of the biggest failures in the history of this industry, which is crazy to think about, but from reports, they dumped over $500 million into that game, from purchasing Firewalk to revamping the team to dumping more money into the project. We're not talking about smashing successes here, and I don't think that Fairgames has any chance to come out and be successful at this point. And of course, we knew that Jade Raymond had left after external tests sparked concern. Basically, It sounded like the game that they had by that point was absolutely trash. This article was released back in May, but Jade Raymond has left Haven Studios, the Sony-owned developer behind online multiplayer shooter Fairgames, with the game reportedly delayed following an external test in yet another blow to PlayStation's live service ambition. According to Bloomberg, Raymond exited the company she founded several weeks after an external test of Fairgames apparently didn't go down well. The game was due out in fall 2025, but is now delayed to spring 2026. So a very similar situation to Marathon, by the way, which is, of course, another Sony game that was supposed to have come out, but has faced major backlash because it just looks like very generic, uninspired gameplay and environments, and of course, the plagiarism accusations. And now we know that Bungie's CEO's out. So we're just talking about a lot going on at Sony that is not positive. But as Bloomberg put it, PlayStation leadership didn't give Haven staff a reason for her departure, but it came several weeks after an external test of Haven's first game, the online shooter Fairgames. According to people with knowledge of the matter, some developers at Haven were concerned about how the game was received in its progress, said the people, who asked not to be identified because they aren't authorized to speak publicly. And now that we've got all of this news, gamers are on social media pointing and laughing, saying, this was going to be a disaster. You guys might as well call it quits now. 1. Make cringe woke Gen Z shooter nobody asked for. 2. Same gameplay mechanics 100 other better games use. 3. Profit. Nah. Fairgames is about to be canceled and Haven is about to be shut down, aren't they? Take away Helldivers 2 and this live service initiative from Sony has been nothing but a failure. Yeah, they've had like 1 or 2 successful live service games, but that's not enough to keep them going. Haven Studios going to heaven probably. Just cancel the game. I don't think the Sony live service bet is paying off, to be honest. Just a wild guess. Definitely sounds like the game is getting canceled now. The failure that Sony has seen this generation needs to be studied, and it should be an easy win for them if they really were listening to gamers. With the amount of money that they are putting towards projects, they should be able to make success after success after success, but that isn't the case because they are completely ignoring what gamers want, which are just really fun, unique, enjoyable experiences and not modern audience garbage. We don't want some political narrative being shoved in our face every time we're playing a video game. We don't want characters that are politically correct. We want action, we want fun, we want edgy games, and that's not what they're making at this point. They're playing it too safe when it comes to the Concords and also the Fairgames. They are making titles for an audience that never shows up to purchase them. So, of course, I'll be keeping my eye on this situation, but even if the rumors several weeks ago were not true that Fairgames was canceled, it definitely seems like that is the road that they are quickly heading down. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.